Hello and welcome back one more time. And now it's time to create our first Flutter project or game project. And I hope you are all equipped with the necessary tools like IDEs. And in my case, I'm using Android Studio, but if you are familiar with VS Code or any other IDE, then you are welcome to use that IDE. So I'm going to create a new Flutter project, and I also assume that you are a Flutter developer because it was a prerequisite for this course. You must have to know Flutter in order to participate in this course. So to create a new Flutter project, I'm going to create this new Flutter project button, and this is the source or the SDK path that I have put in my computer. And of course, you have to select Flutter over here, and then you have to select next. And we have to give a project name. Project name could be like Flame or maybe Udemy, Flame and Basics. Okay. And I'm going to change the saved location. So I'm going to save all my project locations to my iDrive. And from here, let me find the folder, Flame Game Udemy and projects. Course projects. I'm going to select this folder, and inside that folder I have to specify the project name. So I'm going to copy this and paste. After backward slash, I'm going to paste the project name. So under this folder there will be another folder named Udemy_Flame_Basics. And throughout this course we will only target the mobile devices like Android and iOS. So I'm going to opt out this Windows, Web, Mac OS, and Linux section, and everything will be the same as you are looking right now. So I'm going to hit this create button and create, and this will create our new Flutter project in a moment. So the project has been created, and I need to exclude few folders, which is regarding Microsoft Defender. So exclude folders, I'm going to click it, click yes, and I can close this window. And I think now the project is ready. And we all know as a Flutter developer that whenever we create a new Flutter project, we actually get a template or a starter template or a starter project call. Sometimes we call it a counter app. But this time we don't need this counter app. Eventually I'm going to delete everything from this main.dart file. But before I do that, I need to add something to this project, because I told you earlier that Flame framework is not integrated by default with Flutter SDK. So we need to integrate Flame framework by adding a dependency. This is the official website for Flame Game. And if you go to docs, and if you hit this button latest, so this is the latest version of this Flame Game 1.30.1. So this is latest. And if you see something other than this version, maybe 1.40 or 1.35 or even 1.5 or even 2, don't panic, don't worry, because Flame gets updated very often. And sometimes these changes bring some new features. That means the old codes will work perfectly. We can add new features with the upgraded latest version, and sometimes it brings some breaking issues. And in that case, we should follow the documentation. What should we change from our old codes? But don't worry, if something similar happens, then I will upgrade the lecture accordingly. But the good practice will be for you, or my suggestion will be for you, that is that to experience a smooth journey throughout the course, you should use the exact version that I'm using. So I will use this version 1.30.1. So you should use this version in your project, or when you create a new Flutter project and add this dependency. There is no direct link that will let us copy the dependency link. That's why I'm going to go to our pub.dev, where we get all the dependencies, and simply I'm going to type Flame. And this is the core Flame library that we need. And there are other libraries or dependencies from Flame, like Flame Audio, if we want to integrate audio or play audio, we need to integrate this library. Also for tile, this one, if you are familiar with block state management, then you can use block state management in your Flame game, and also for Studi. But to start with, we just need this dependency. And here I'm going to copy the version number 1.30.1, and I'm going to add it in our pubspec.yaml file under this dependencies section. After Cupertino icons, I am simply going to paste whatever I have copied, and then I'm going to hit pubget. So I think the package has been downloaded and integrated in our project. It says process finished with exit code 0. And now it's time to modify our main.dart file. We don't need this my app or stateless widget. But one thing I want to mention, that since we're using this Flutter SDK and the Flame framework is built on top of Flutter SDK, we can still use the normal or traditional Flutter widgets along with the Flame components. So we can start with like this stateless widget or stateful widget, and in between somewhere we can add the specialized widget that actually comes with Flame framework. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to delete everything except this main function. So I'm going to remove this my app and also this widgets. So I'm going to select and delete everything from this main.dart file. And now we need to provide a widget as a parameter of this runner function. And from Flame framework, we get a special widget, which is called a game widget. Okay, so I'm going to type game widget, and if you don't see any suggestions that we normally see in this kind of IDEs, then maybe we need to import it manually. So let me import manually this game widget. So let's say import and maybe game.dart, or maybe this happens quite often, that we integrated a library or dependency, but our IDE fails to detect those newly added dependencies. So in that case, maybe we should click this pubget one more time, and then I'm going to import game.dart file. So this is coming from, or maybe I'm going to put my cursor on this game widget and press Alt Enter, and this should import Flame game.dart file. So now you see that this game.dart file from Flame package has been imported, and the error indicating that we need to pass something as a parameter of this constructor argument. So this game widget is actually a widget, no doubt about it, but we need to pass one required argument, which is a game object. We now need to create a game object, and in Flame we have a Flame game class which indicates the game object. So what you can do is we can create the game object right here, but normally what we do is we create a separate file and put the game or create the game object there. So under this lib directory, I'm going to create a new Dart file, and I'm going to name it as like my game or my Flame game. And here I'm going to create a class, my Flame game, and that should extend another class, which is Flame game, this one. Okay. So this Flame game, if I click, press Ctrl and click this class, you see that this class is actually extends a component tree root, which eventually extends a component. So I will talk about component in details in upcoming lectures, but don't worry if I don't say anything about this component or Flame game. But all you need to do to start a Flame game project is you have to create a class, or you have to create a game object of type Flame game. And that's what I just did. I have created a class, my Flame game, that extends Flame game. And later you will know that we don't only extend Flame game, we have another option. We can extend Flame game or a world class, but right now I'm not going to talk about world or camera. I will stick with this Flame game. Okay. So now we have a game object, and now we can pass the game object to this game argument over here. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to first create the my flame game object. So final game, that would be my flame game. And now I'm going to pass this object over here. Okay, that's it. So this is the minimum setup or minimum requirement to create and run a flame game using the Flutter SDK. And literally we can run this application right now. We can run this application on our emulator or real device, or even we can run this application to browser. So I'm going to select my browser, Chrome, right now, and maybe in later sections when we create a full featured game, we will run our application on emulators or real device. So after choosing this Chrome, I'm going to click this play button, and this project will be compiled and run on our browser. So the browser just has opened, and congratulations, our project has successfully run on this browser, and we can only see a black screen. We are looking at the black screen because of the game. This is the default background color for this game. And since we didn't have added any game objects like players, enemies, buildings, roads, etc. and etc., that's why we are looking at this black screen. And of course we can change the background color if we want, and to do so all we have to do is we need to go to our my flame game class, and here we can override a method which is called background color. So you see that this is an overridden method. That means this method actually belongs to the parent class or the parent of this flame game class. And this method actually returns a color object, and maybe we have to import the necessary dependencies or the package, this time .ey. And from this method, we need to return a color. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to return, using this fat arrow, I'm going to return colors dot maybe green. Maybe I need to import material.dart file. So import alt enter material.dart. And when we have material.dart file in our file, then we don't need to import dart.ey as it says. So this is like redundancy or unnecessary import. So we can remove this. Okay. So now if I hit this button, restart our app one more time, and this time we will no longer see the black screen. Now we can see a green background screen. So congratulations. At this point, we have created our first project with Flame integrated, and we have successfully created a game object. But right now we don't have any game objects like players and enemies or any other things. We have just a black screen, and we have change the background color by overriding this background color which is coming from this flame game or some parents, and we have changed the background color from black to green.